And 3, 2, 1. What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
And House Craze tonight, we have Mr. Ari Gross, and he's going to be talking to us about Warden's #1, which is a comic book, a 44-page comic book that he's got coming out on Kickstarter tomorrow. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about competition. We're going to be talking about competition coming right up.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Cast the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the Dreamer, Medina, and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, and the crazy man Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, everyone? Yay! Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. It is Tuesday, January 16th, and we are coming to you live. We have another guest, another indie. What up, Lou? Another indie in the house. We're going to be talking to him about his new comic book called Wardens, which I mentioned in the soft open there. And we're going to be talking to him in just a few minutes. But before we do that, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe, hit the like button, comment, do all that stuff. Share the video, hit the notification bell so that you know exactly when we go live, usually Tuesday nights. So do that right now. What up, JD? JD's in the house. JD's got a Kickstarter as well.
Yes, kidding out.
Right now. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. But what's happening, Sam? What you up to? What are you doing?
What's happening? I'm on survival mode, bro. I'm on survival mode.
I'm
on survival mode. I'm a survivor. Nah, man, just getting ready. You know, a lot of things coming. Getting ready for convention season. Got lots coming down the pike. It's going to be an active convention season for me here in Texas, starting with Texoma next month in February. George the Dreamer Medina will be joining me there.
Word.
In Oklahoma. And then right after that, I'll be doing LitCon, which is in Greenville, Texas. It's a one-day show. And then right after that, I will be in April. I will be at Central Texas Comic Con, which is in Waco. This is I'll be there for the second time. I was there last year. It was a very successful event. Then first time appearing in Houston in Comic Palooza. So I'll be there rocking out over there. Dan Price is going to be there. Marco, fantastic illustrator, will be there. So it's going to be fun. And then in June, Superhero Comic Con in San Antonio, Texas. I'll be there. Again, that's going to be fantabulous. And then wrapping it up with College Station Comic Con, second appearance in September. So shout out to everybody at College Station. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a really packed year. What's up, Hugo?
¿Qué pasó?
Yeah, so that's what I'm working towards. I uploaded my latest blog, which is trending to 1,000 views, which is pretty dope. Which is where did all the people go? That's on my art channel, The Art of Samuel. If you haven't checked out my art vlog, check it out. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, tips and tricks and learnings, and it's really cool stuff. If you check it out, subscribe. That'll be dope. And let's see. And don't forget, Duty. Duty is a comic strip in A Kid in a Comic. It's a newspaper full of fantastic comic strips published by A Kid in a Comic. You can get yourself a copy and have this paper delivered to your doorstep. That's right. Duty's not only a comic book, but he's also in a comic strip. So damn, you're doing double duty. That's what I'm talking about. Duty does what Duty does. So if you go to akidinacomic.com, akidinacomic.com, you get yourself a copy of this right here. And I think issue 4 just shipped, and issue 5 will be shipping in a month or two. So that's what's going on there. Dang, someone else in Texas. Yeehaw! That's what I'm talking about. Giddy up. And yes, that's what's going on there. The art channels continue to grow. We got a few more subscribers this week, which is pretty fantastic. And just really rocking out for this year and finishing up on the Kickstarter, which will probably be shipping sometime in February. And so that's it. That's what's going on here. What about you?
Ooh, so yeah, no, I got a few things going on. So let's see, where do we start? 25 years ago, I created a little guy named Russ, and we published it in 2003 through Crazy Comics.
Back in
And this year, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the guy, I'm actually going to be re-releasing the book that I did. Those are some of the pages of the book that I did way back in the day, 2003, Sammy, 2003, at the Big Apple Comic Con. Yeah. So I'm going to be releasing that. So what I'm doing is, if you guys haven't done so yet, subscribe. I have a YouTube channel called Get Your Meds, and on it I have a show called The Art of Comic Writing that I put out every week. This week's guest is Ben Tinsley. Check that out. That airs tomorrow. But if you subscribe to the channel, you comment in any one of those videos, email me that you've done so, I will send you a PDF of that book, of the first issue of Russ, as I drew it, as I wrote it, as I colored it, lettered it, did all that good stuff. So this is years ago. I'm actually going to be printing out some issues, limited edition 25. I'm going to print out, not 25, I'm going to print out a limited edition run of the book, and I'm going to be selling it this year at the conventions that I'm going to be at. So let's see, where am I going? I'm going to be with you. I'm not exhibiting at this one, but I'm going to be with you at Texoma. In April, I'm going to be at C2E2. I'm not exhibiting. I'm just walking the floor. Then in July, I just signed up for Plastic City Comic Con. Big shout out to Keith Gleason, who has the Mighty Mascots. He's got a show called Indie Comics Relay here on YouTube as well. So check him out. He's got a convention called Plastic City Comic Con in Massachusetts. So I'll be going out there. That's July 20th. So check that out. Get tickets. Go to the website. And then on, on August 10th and 11th, I will be at Wicked. I'm staying in Boston. I'm going to go to Wicked Comic Con. And that's those two shows. That's where I'll start selling the book. So make sure you check that out. And then in September, I have the Baltimore Comic Con.
Baltimore.
Yes, that's in September. And then, I'm working on going back to the New York Comic Con this year with Mr. Johnny C.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, Johnny C. Yeah, we're working on it. I think Johnny Syfax might be joining. Sebastian Bonet of the Nerds of the Realm. Yeah.
Fit all you guys in one booth?
No. It's going to be like we're split. We're just trying to get booths together. So
damn.
Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. But yeah, that's what's going on. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, getyourmeds.com. Follow me on social media and stay tuned. I'm going to have a lot of things going on for Russ this year. Wonder Duck is still in production, and I have a few more books that I'm working on. I'm actually re-releasing the book for Russ, the graphic novel, with a new cover. I have an artist that's working on a cover. I'll show you guys as soon as I get that for the 25th anniversary. And if you want to pick up the digital versions of Russ 5377, you can go to the Any One World platform, anyoneworld.com. Check that out. Pick up issues 1 through 6 digitally. They're there. If you put the promo code podcast during checkout, you can get all of that. You can get a discount for checking it out. So, yes, that's what's going on.
Did you say they get a 50% discount?
Yeah, they get a 15%. 50 would be nice. 50
hey,
would
yo,
be nice.
I have 50. I have 50. What's up?
We have some. We have some
customers
stuff
always right. The customer's always right.
No, listen, we have some discounts coming up, so stay tuned because there are going to be some more discounts for some of the books over at the Any One World.
Go to make a shirt. The front of it says "Customers always right." The back's gonna say "Psych."
Psych, bro. Psych. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a busy year. Busy year for me.
It's busy.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'm trying to.
And I haven't even announced the book signings in bookstores yet, so that's coming down the pike too. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. And it's funny because I got something every month, with the exception of August, October, November, and December.
Thanks, Lou. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So Louis, I love watching the art writing with George and his guests, and I'm an artist. There you go.
Great artist.
No, you're
She's
not
just
an
an artist,
What are you
right?
talking about? You're
Come
not
on,
just an
Lou.
artist.
Come on, Lou.
No, if you haven't seen Lupon's work, man, you haven't seen Lupon's work. Yeah, she's killing it. She's awesome.
JD, psych this played out. Never, bro.
It's
It'll
never
come
played
back.
out.
Just
Right?
like dope. Just like dope.
Yeah.
Came back, psych
Yeah.
is gonna come back. Watch.
Yes.
We're bringing it back.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Bringing it back, kid.
I backed it up.
For real. I'm neither artist or writer, but man, thank you, Hugo. Appreciate you, bro.
There you go, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm having fun doing it, talking to writers about writing. I've had a couple of our, I think I had Sebastian on there, I had Aníbal on there who are mostly artists, but they're storytellers. You know what I'm saying? Like you especially when you're doing comics, you gotta be able to tell that story sequentially on a page. Word. So that counts. That counts as writing. Dope. I'm outie. Wow. Outie? You outie, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? How about yup? Remember that?
Word.
Yup.
You whack.
You whack.
All that stuff is still there, man.
Well, Spaz. Remember Spaz?
Spaz. Scrub. Remember Scrub?
Scrub. I don't want no scrubs.
Yeah. Herb. You
Herb. Yes. Herb.
Stop being a Herb, son.
Oh, he got Herb.
He got Herb. Yo, he got Herb. Wow.
Oh, trifecta.
Gotta complete the psych and dope trifecta with Rad. Wow, he went Rad.
Rad, yes. Fly.
Oh, fly. Yo,
yes. Yo, I'm fresh.
Yo,
I'm fresh. I'm styling.
Those kicks are fresh.
Yo.
How old are we? We're bringing all that back. Everything's coming back.
It's over.
It's all
but
coming back.
You know, everybody's envious of that era. Everybody's like, damn, what was it like?
That was a good era.
That was the time, you know. It was dope.
Era.
We were dancing in the streets. You were wearing your shell top Adidas, your 8-ball jacket.
That's right.
Remember the 8-ball jackets?
Yeah.
Jackets.
8-ball, the starter jackets.
Yes,
yo,
man.
Starter jackets were the ish, man.
Oh man, it was crazy. Those are the days.
Oh God. Anyway,
we're
reminiscing.
Yes, that's it. I know, right? Who sang that reminisce?
Reminisce. It was
Pete Rock and Still Smooth. There you go. That's right. That's
When
right.
I reminisce over you, my God. JD, if you bounce, you're gonna stick around because you're gonna like this next topic that we're gonna be talking about in just a few minutes. Your new intro will have "Color Me Bad." Color me bad, yo.
I adore.
DJ, you gotta
more. Remember that?
Out of all the songs, that's the one.
Take off your clothes, I'll make you feel at home. Remember that? Oh, don't get me started. It's over.
Don't get me started. I'm glad you didn't say New Kids on the Block. That's all I'm saying.
That's it. You got the right stuff.
Wow, there you go.
Love the way you turn me on.
Be honest. You had the buttons. You had the buttons.
No, my sister had the buttons. I used to take her
knew
buttons and I used to flirt with the girls. I'll give you a button if you if you go to the movies with me. Like, I'll go to the movies with you.
Oh snap!
My sister had all the buttons, and that was the way I got the girls. I used to sneak it out of her room. Hey, Melissa, I know you like Donnie Wahlberg. I got his button.
Donnie, damn. Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh, those days.
JD just sent the message. He's the best. Oh man. Anyway. All right. Why don't we're getting a little. Why don't we get sick
our meds, bro? I'm feeling sick.
I know. Sick with it and take our meds, man.
Let's do this.
It's time for your medicine.
The competition is too good. Can't just wing it. Why not?
Oh man! All right. Let's get this. Let me get this straight.
Let's get it straight.
When you say competition,
yes.
And
I know you don't like that word, but that's a
what
fact.
do you mean? What do you mean by competition?
That's everybody.
Who is the competition? Who is
everybody that's in the same playing field in the same arena that you're in? That's your competition. Everybody that's taking market share. Everybody that's taking somebody else's money from their wallet before you got it. That's the competition. So if you're in that same space, if you're creating comics and it's a fantasy genre, if you're creating comics and sci-fi, whatever it is, you're competing with everybody else. And in today's game, with today's technology, the competition is getting thicker and thicker. There's no room to wing it. You can't just not have a plan.
All right, I will say this about that. Okay, for me, the more we compete, like you said, within our sandbox, because we're not competing with Marvel. We can't compete with Marvel yet. We don't have the market share. We don't have the fan base. We're not competing with them. That isn't the competition. Unfortunately, we're competing with each other.
Word.
And what happens is when you compete with each other, all we're doing is making it easier for the big guys to continue to take the market share, because all we're doing is we're taking each other out. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
So for me, I compete with me, right? I compete with myself. How am I going to make my book better than I did last week, last year, whatever? That's what I'm competing with. I can't sit here and worry about what you're doing. I can't sit here and say, all right, well, ooh, I'm sitting next to Sam. Sam's selling. I need to cut that out. I need to sell more than he's selling, because it's pointless. It really is. To me, it's pointless. I got to worry about what I'm doing. That's the way I look at it, because seriously, we're just going to knock each other out. Think about wrestling. Remember wrestling back in the days? Royal Rumble, right? The Big Show is inside the ring, and there's a whole bunch of other little guys in there. You got to pick up the Big Show and get him out of the ring together if you want any chance to win against each other. Now, once we knock off Marvel and DC and Image and Dynamite and Boom and all those guys, then we can talk about competing with each other and knocking each other out. But until those guys are here, competing with each other is pointless, dude. We're just going to kill each other. We're just going to wipe each other out. That's all we're going to do. So that mindset, I understand what you're saying as far as like, you can't just wing it. No, you can't just come in there and be like, oh, I'm a staple a book and sell it. No, you can't. You can't. It's not going to sell because people want more. The audience, it's gotten smarter than not smarter, but they want better from us because they seem better. So that's what I mean. For me, competing, that's why I say that word. It's like, eh.
No, you don't like it because for that reason that you just stated. For me, the word competition means motivation. The word competition means.
But then let's use motivation.
No, it's competition. The reality is, if you're in an arena where you're trying to get market share and somebody to pay money for your product, the other guy wants the same money, right? So that customer has to decide which one is it, right? So what I mean by competition is, you're going up against AI, right? You're going now. You got people who don't have an artistic ability using AI to tell stories and create comic books, and people are fascinated by the quality that's coming out of a computer generated product, right? You're going up against guys who have the budget to hire pro level artists, right? You're going against teams that are like cultivating themselves to really, compete in the arena. So you can't wing it. So what I'm saying is you have to have a plan. In order for you to gain credibility and longevity in a space that's oversaturated, because the quality is going to rise to the top. And if you're not focused on your A game and you're not thinking about long term and assessing successes and failures, or even learning from the countless of other stories and people who came before you who are showing you avoid this because you feel like you're smarter. Oh, that's never going to happen to me. We've had dozens of guests that came on this show that made mistakes because they didn't heed the warnings, right? That went out there and did all the things they shouldn't have done because they didn't heed the warning because they thought they were smarter. They didn't prepare, right? So what happens is they put out a poorly produced product with a poorly conceptualized strategy. And what happens? So now you're dealing with depression, low morale, and you got to work twice as hard to regain that. So that's for me, competing. Yes, you have to compete with yourself. You have to be better today than you were yesterday. And you have to work towards tomorrow to be better than you were today, right? Tweeted mainstream creators are asking him how to crowdfund. The market will get flooded soon. You'll need to find this. Yeah, yes, you need to find a way.
It's already flooded. It's already like you can see it. It's been like the market's been flooded, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have Todd McFarlane saying, "Hey guys, draw a cover and I'll put it and I'll put it on." So now you have all of these indies and all everybody.
500 people who enter.
Lying. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Right now, when that happens, yes, that's competition because you're trying to win a prize.
No, anything's competition. You
prize,
got Target, you got Walmart. They're competing for the same space.
Hold on. That is straight up because there's gonna be a winner. Okay, when you're talking about the competition, you're talking about. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan, bro. I love sports. I hate to lose. I do. I'm very competitive on the court. I'm very competitive on the field. I compete. I love competition. I know how to compete, though. There's such thing as healthy competition, and there's such thing as dirty competition. So what I'm saying to you is that to me is competition. This right here, what we're doing, I'm not saying we got to be kumbaya and everybody get along. No, that's not going to happen. There's egos involved. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things involved. But to me, I feel like if you sit there and try to compete against each other, what you're doing is you're just knocking each other out.
No, it isn't about identifying somebody. It's about making sure that you have a plan, making sure that you have a product that
you're competing with you. That's what I'm saying.
But because you're going into a space that's heavily saturated, and you go into a space where there's people who already have a foundation set, right? You and if you're not understanding trends, you're not understanding what's happening in the game, you know what's working, what's not working, and if you're not assessing your product or testing and trying, using your friends or whatever to give you feedbacks before you enter that space, you're gonna fall flat on your face. And that's basically what I'm saying is making sure you just can't wing it. You just can't say today I'm gonna wake up, hey, everybody's doing a Kickstarter, I'm gonna do a Kickstarter, and then next year you launch it in a week, right? No promotion, no strategy around it, none of that stuff, right? Because you're seeing, everybody else is making money, why can't I make money? Or you say everybody else is making a comic, let me put a comic together, and then you go and staple some stuff together or whatever. Every font is different on every page, the size is different, right? The bubbles there's no consistency, there's no format, there's no flow. So what I'm saying is, if you're gonna get into this space, look, this channel alone, we have hundreds of videos of success and failure stories. If you want to find out what to do, what not to do, things to avoid, just go into our database. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of other podcasts out there with similar stories, right? Do your homework before you enter it, because you're competing. You can't wing it. If you don't have a plan, you're gonna fall flat on your face.
Rick says, shame on YouTube for not sending me a notification. What up, Rick? How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
Areli's in the house. But also in this day and age, if you're a jerk to others in the space, what will get out and they will come. Yeah, that's the unhealthy competition I'm talking about, because some people don't know how to compete. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give you an example. If you're at a table, right, and you're sitting next to somebody, it's healthy for you to let that person finish their pitch before you start saying, hey, want to check out this book? Because that's competition. If I'm trying
we had George, remember, in Jersey?
Yeah.
The guy that was just stealing our customers?
And that's the competition that I'm talking about that breeds that kind of stuff, because they look at it as, oh my God, he's taking my sale. Dude, relax, calm down, okay? Let me work my table.
Indies, calm down.
And eventually he'll get to you. But if we look at everything as competition, hey, that person's gonna say, hey, come here. No, you don't want that. You want this.
I don't look at a singular person as competition. I look at the arena that I'm going into as a competitive field where I need to make sure that I'm coming equipped with my A game, right? And then you take the lessons learned from your time in it and say, go back, reset, what worked, what didn't work, and what do I need to do differently?
Look at this post by JD. I 100% agree with that. I compete with you, want to beat you on the court, and still have a beer with you when the game is done. As long as you can challenge each other, agreed. But some people don't know how to do that, especially in this space. How many, and let's keep it real. How many artists, I do, I'm sure JD does, you did. Hugo maybe does, Arelis maybe, whatever. Play sports. Competitive sports. How many after drawing a comic will go out and play some football with a couple of friends? I don't know how many people do. I do that. I compete with my best friends, my brothers. On the court, we hate each other. We hate each other, dude. We want to kill each other. When the game is over, we know the game is over. Win or lose, we're gonna, like you said, we're gonna go out and have a beer.
Dude, we played street football. You ever play street football?
Of course.
There's no padding, there's nothing. I got my ribs bruised. This guy hit me so hard, I thought I hit by a Mack truck, right? Yeah. right? And so I was like, all right. When I heal, I'm getting you, right? But we hung out, we went to school, we played handball, whatever, we did school. I got into a fist fight with a lot of my best friends, right? Bah, 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 bah. But then at the end of the day, we're going and playing video games together, right? But what I'm saying is,
but there's a winner. But there's a winner, right? There's a winner at the end of that, right?
Nobody.
There's a winner and a loser. That to me, that's competition. Win or lose. I compete to win. I don't compete to lose.
If you play me on handball court, it's over.
I compete to win. That's what I'm saying. I'm competing to win. In this space, I'm competing to succeed. Now, if this person over here loses, it's going to be because they weren't ready. It's going to be because they weren't ready, Sam. To your point, it's going to be because they weren't ready. Not because I necessarily beat them. They just weren't ready. They winged it.
The whole focus was the whole topic was the competition is too good. You have to have a plan. You just can't wing it. That's what the whole subject is. It's about understanding what you're getting yourself into and making sure you do your work. You do your due diligence and you have a plan. You just can't go out there and just make and hope for the best, right? And you got to test and try because he was scared to face me. Oh, I didn't know you had skills, bro.
He's Puerto Rican, bro. Go to Hugo.
Oh, snap.
Go to Hugo. Hugo. Also, folks don't just pick one book, one series, one author. There's room for everyone, and you're not competing on the 30K car sale. Folks can usually afford at your table and someone. Yes. I 100%. That's what I'm saying. That that's exactly right.
Yes.
Well, yeah, no. Hey, listen, man.
I've been very fortunate enough that in some of the last conventions I've been at, where I've had like anime artists, and they kill it, right? They kill it when you look at, and I've been very honest on my vlogs and talking that a lot of my influence and how I set up my booth is because of these anime artists. They're really detailed about how they approach presentation, right? And so, and a lot of times that they have lines and they're right next to me, right? So I take that and I become a student. I'm like, look at and I look at the quality of their presentation. I look at their delivery and their pitch, and I use that to be better prepared the next outing for myself, right? So I take it as tips. So that's what I'm saying is be a student, learn, test and try, but have a plan. Have a finished product that you can stand tall on, have a plan on how to promote that product, how to plan on where to promote that product, and have an elevated pitch. I mean, it's a full package deal, right? You got to have the presentation, you have to have the product, you have to have the pitch, right? And the ability to connect with people. You just can't just assume because everybody's doing comics, I'm going to do a comic and I'm just going to be successful because I got a comic. Nah, we got, how many bodies are out there in the field because they didn't have a good, they might have had a good product, but didn't have a good strategy. Mm-hmm. Or they had a bad product, but a great strategy.
Yeah, they're not
right.
ready.
Right. So it's about understanding what do you want to get out of it and planning to be successful. Hold on. Competition and vitriol are radically different. Everyone should embrace competition in one way or another. There's lessons to be learned when you're in the mix. Absolutely. And George, remember New York City Comic Con? Remember the faces of those that did not understand the convention game?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that were not something. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You got to come prepared. You got to come ready. You got to come.
You have to come ready, bro.
When we're talking about being prepared and not winging it, 100%, dude, 100%. Because you're going to get lost, and you're definitely going to get lost in the sauce if you go in there and you're not ready for what you're about to step into. And being ready means doing your research, right? Mm-hmm. Sitting down, watching videos like the ones that you have on your art channel, for example, right? Walking around that's what a convention looks like. Oh, that's what's happening behind the table. Or that it's important to do that, dude. It's important to even like for me, right? Like C2E2. Before I can do a show like that, dude, I want to know what I'm stepping into. I've never been to that show. Now, convention, you can say convention's a convention, dude. You did NYCC. It doesn't matter, dude. Like it doesn't matter that I did NYCC. It doesn't matter that I've been to San Diego. Every convention is a different animal, and you got to approach it that way.
And it all depends on what's happening that period of time, too.
Sure, around.
Like we went to a convention. We went to a convention that nobody showed up when, right? Because they ran it on the same day as the Texas Fair, the Great State Fair, right? So that's a big thing annually, the Texas State Fair, and everybody was going there. Nobody came to the show,
bro.
And, check out my latest vlog. You'll see what happened.
Yeah, Baltimore last year. Baltimore was dead. Baltimore was dead because it was opening day of football, and the Baltimore Ravens were playing at home that same weekend. What do you think is going to happen to the convention? It's gonna be dead. It was dead. But they have to book those. They have to book those so far ahead of time, and they didn't know when the football schedule was going to come out. So it was unfortunate for them. But things like that happen, right? So I may go to Baltimore last year and be like, oh, I can do this. Isn't really anybody here. Where's the
But that's exactly what
big
happened,
deal,
right? So I did a convention last year in Texas, and I was like, it was less than stellar. But you know what? Now I'm going to try it again. Maybe it was an anomaly. The second year, I was like, all right, no, Sam, it's just not a good show, right? So I was like, I'm not going back, right? So you learn from it and you pivot and you adjust, right? This year I decided 80% of the shows I'm going to do is going to be a new show in Texas because I want to test and try, right? And then learn from that and see is that my audience? Is this what I need? Is that and then who is the audience here and what are they like, right? So I knew that, like, JD tried to tell me ahead of time that Puerto Rico was
the anime,
right? And it was a fact. It was like 80% of the fans at the Puerto Rico Comic Con were all anime fans.
So JD, I forgot about the SPX down in Bethesda. That we did the SPX one year.
You guys did it.
You didn't go there? I thought you did.
I never did.
Yeah, that was we went out there with the Wolf. He was out there with us. But yeah, man, that's a good topic.
Yeah,
there's a lot of feedback. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat, man. People got
yeah. I mean, the moral of the story is, if any space that you're going to go into where you're asking for somebody to open up their wallet, making sure that you're ready. I vended at a con that decided to run on the same week at New York Comic Con. That was rough.
Yeah.
I'll say, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, know exactly what you're getting into. Know the market. Know who it is. Do some counter surveillance before you go to a convention, right?
That's what I do.
You know, but do your homework, right? And get ready, because there's several steps to this game, right? It's the product, it's the presentation, and then it's the person, right? When you're at the show, you have to be charismatic, you have to be engaging, you have to be standing up, you have to look people in the eye, you got to smile, all these other things that come with it, right? But start with your product and your strategy first.
Yeah, be genuine about it too. I think that also, if you're going into these conventions as a spectator to walk around, it's a fun convention. You're going there to have a good time, but go out there and ask questions. You know, talk to the people behind the tables. Don't just walk around and not talk to anybody. Talk to them. See what's going on. Hey, how's the show? Is it a good show? You know, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to start a conversation.
Because it was a referral from an artist that I met at a convention. Right. And that's it. And build your network. But so we have a guest in the audience. And we do want to remind everybody that we do offer sponsorships. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Ari Gross.
Do you have a Kickstarter campaign and you're trying to figure out how to get the word out? You look online and you see the competition is fierce. Comic-Cons are slowly coming back. But in the meantime, how do you spread the word? Worked for hours creating your campaign. You post on as many social media sites as possible, trying to get the word out, to no avail. Well, look no further. Why not sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze podcast, the fastest growing indie podcast in the market today? That 30-second promo can get you an extra 2 to 3 backers or more. Who knows? Let's go. Hit the link below and get one step closer to a successful campaign.
What's up?
Hey,
Craze. What's going on, guys? Harry? Good, man. Good. How you doing?
I'm just chilling. Guys talking about competition. That's pretty cool. It's like, it's an interesting headspace when you walk into this sort of, and that's something I've been thinking a lot about. I'm coming in hot. I always come in hot.
I like it. Coming hot, kid.
But yeah, when you walk in, so I've been checking out. So this is I haven't tabled at any cons or anything yet. I'm hoping to do so this year. This is like, do the comic, print the comic, start tabling. Like, I've got the plan and everything. But it is kind of crazy when you walk around. You're just like, you be talking to one person, you be talking to another person, talking to another person. And they're like, even if they have totally different things, like, your time there is still kind of finite. Like, as a consumer, you have to like make some choices, and you only have a certain amount of, dollars in your wallet that you're willing to spend. Like, I have like a bit of like a mental hard cap when I go to those things. It's like, is there something that's really nice? It's like someone's like, oh, there's a cool print. I did it. It's like watercolor. It's printed on this like cool paper, $80, $100 or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So now I have to think, is that in my budget or not and stuff. So like, as a consumer, like, I don't know, like it goes through my mind all the time. And now I have to start transitioning the way to think as a person who's tabling. Like, am I going to be offering something that's totally different than what everybody else is doing? Is it, is it the kind of thing people are looking for? So
Yeah.
it's funny because I hear you both on that. It's like, on the one hand, like, everyone's doing their own thing. We're all competing with ourselves, tell our best stories, our best art, put our best stuff out there. But you are still like next to someone else who's selling another product, and you know, like hundreds and thousands of people around you are doing the same thing. So like, you got to figure out a way to make yourself unique and make yourself be something that's,
Yeah.
you're doing something that nobody else is doing, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
That's all
I
I
think
see.
you know what it is. I think, and Sam, you and I have done this together for a long time. 03, we were doing conventions together. There's a lot going on at a convention. Right? When you sit behind that table, it's a totally different mindset, right? There's a lot of you want to sell your books. There's so much pressure, so much money spent. You got to make that money back. To me, the way I look at it is, if I now add to that stress the fact that that guy next to me selling $80, $90 prints and nobody's coming to my table, I'm gonna mess myself up. So I gotta have blinders on and say, okay, this is what I have to do. I gotta focus on what I need to do, and hopefully that $5 book I'm selling is more enticing than that $80 print that they're selling over there, because my charisma is gonna win them over. He's gonna open up the book and he's gonna want it. You know, all those kind of things. I think that you have to help yourself. Otherwise, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're not. Some people can't get out of that headspace. Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have the confidence in yourself in what you're doing, and the confidence in like whatever you're there at, whatever you're selling, like, you know, that's got to be the best, you know, for whatever niche it is, for whatever like groups you're trying to hit, you know. And I don't know, if you're not putting out your best work, then you're not doing it right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Yeah. So speaking of that, so you know, you're an indie creator. You have your book. This is your first created Kickstarter. You know, how did you pick?
Second Kickstarter.
Oh, it says first on the page. Um,
Oh, it says the first issue for this. This is a new series. This is #1 in the new series.
no, on the when I'm looking under your logo, it says first created 28 backed on the page. So that's what I'm reading on.
Okay, weird.
It is weird.
I'm gonna look into that. Okay.
Yeah. So how did you, what was the mindset when you were creating your product, behind creating it? What was your thought process on, like you're saying, you're getting ready to do your first appearances? What's the mindset behind your strategy? How did you form your strategy on how to promote it? Why did you decide to go that route with crowdfunding?
So crowdfunding was sort of an easy thing to do, because I knew I wanted to do the comic just myself. Like, this is the kind of story that I don't think anyone's going to pick up. I'll just give people an overview just so we know what I'm talking about. Wardens is I guess, historical supernatural action comic series set in 1926 in Toronto, in an immigrant neighborhood called the Ward. You can sort of think of it, if you know New York, it's sort of like Toronto's Lower East Side at the point.
Mhm.
It was very Jewish, Black, Chinese, Italian. Basically, it was like the slums of the city, and a lot of the rest of the city was constantly writing stuff in the newspaper of like, why don't we just tear the whole thing down? Like, this is a disaster. Why are people living here? They're full of disease and terrible and all that usual stuff. Yeah. They actually did like tearing a bunch of it down in the 50s. And that's where, like, right now, that's where like city halls, that's where like every single bank is. That's the financial district. Like, all the money, like the biggest buildings, like they're right there in what used to be the absolute poorest neighborhood in town for like a good 70 years or something.
Right.
So I want to tell a story about this old forgotten neighborhood, telling it mostly focusing on the Jewish community there, the Chinese community, the Black community. Issue 1 is more the Jewish community than the others, because that's sort of where it's all grounded in before it starts like spiraling out and exploring other people's what other people have going on. Exploring some of the other sort of, not secondary characters, but the other major characters. You know, you got to start somewhere. And so, like, as a Jewish person myself who knows something about this community, I've done a whole bunch of research into it.
Awesome.
You know, start with what you know, right? You know, build there and then build out.
Yep.
So I really wanted to tell this story because there's kind of nothing like it. I wanted to do something that was sort of like fun, supernatural, and just in a total different setting than anything else, and something that had a lot of Jewish characters sort of operating in this, you know, sort of old-timey, like, immigrant Jewish context, which there's not a lot of stuff out there. I mean, there's books and stuff, but not a lot of comics. I think Daniel Kalban has something with like Houdini and other superheroes, like Jewish superheroes in New York around 1900. This is a bit of a different sort of scene, but I want something that was like fun, high energy. As you can see from like the pictures, it's sort of like, it's more cartoony than like, you know, like
Yeah.
And I wanted that feel. And even finding an artist, like finding my artist, took months. Like I looked everywhere, and people were throwing me stuff, and I was like, it's just not the right style, or it's not good enough, or it's not, like that's so hard. Yeah.
Why did you go with a cartoony style? I'm sorry. I just when
Yeah,
you
go
said
ahead.
that, I was like, because the subject matter sounds, it could be serious, right? You could go with that serious, right? Why did you decide to go with the cartoony look to tell the story?
So I wanted this book to sort of get away from the. I mean, it would be really easy if you're talking about like poor immigrants in a slum neighborhood to do something that's very gritty and depressing, and people just trying to get by. But I want to tell a story that has like some of that, but it's upbeat about it. And you sort of feel like it's got a good energy. It's got high energy. It's got the kind of things that you could pass on to like kids or something, and they could read them and be like, oh, this looks like a fun book to crack open. I don't want to write something that's like really depressing. I want to write something that's like really upbeat. And I don't know. It's like when I close my eyes, like the main character, like Rachel, you had there, she's the one standing, like looking at the whole, like that night clinic speakeasy scene. I kind of always
love
picture
that scene. I mean, it's just beautifully illustrated and rendered.
It is.
Yeah, he took forever on it. I was emailing him. I was like, dude, where's the page? Where's the page?
I
Where's
would
the
have
page?
taken just
like,
as long.
It's like a month, and he was like, I'm finally done it. So
I looked at that. I got tired. I was like, damn, son, if you had to draw that.
Did he do everything on it? Pencils, things, colors?
Yeah, this guy.
Wow.
Like roughs to colors. Like
wow.
The only thing he didn't do is the letters, which I did because I'm crazy and have, I guess, an infinite amount of time just to like stare at like word balloons, get them like the perfect shape. And also I want to do it because it's like the dialogue in this and the phrasing and the diction is super important because people speak very different ways. Someone who's like Jewish in the 1920s is going to speak different than someone who's from a different cultural background at that time. Just like the phrasing is different. The terms you use are different. There's a lot of Yiddish in there as well, which is like, even though it's not translated, you can get it from context. If you want to learn how to swear in Yiddish, read this comic. This is like one of my main goals is to teach people Yiddish swear words because it's the best for that.
Oi, Gavolt. What is that?
Oi, Gavolt.
Oh, Gavolt.
It's kind of like Oy vey, but that's like Rachel's main thing. She's like, Oi, Gavolt all the time. It literally means like, oh, violence, but it's more like, bah! It's like,
Ari, what did your research look like when you're talking about the 1920s and you're talking about all these different cultures in that one area? What did you watch videos? Did you read books? Like what did it look like, your research?
Far and wide, there's a lot of stuff you can look at. Historical research, I'm lucky enough that there's a book that came out called The Ward, which is about that neighborhood that came out about a few years before. Nice. And there's a sequel to this one that's they did an archaeological dig and they found some cool stuff in the site and they published another thing. So like a lot of this is just short stories about different things that are going on at the time. Little snippets, like a little here, a little there. So you sort of have to pick and choose. It's not like a single novel or anything. Right. And there are a couple of there's one novel that was written at the time that takes place it was written like in the 20s. It wasn't like that great a novel or anything, but like, read it just to get a bit of a feel of things. But yeah, I mean, I have a background in like history. So like I know that I can spend a long ass time doing research on things. So my goal for this was like do enough research to like write the story and get good, but don't kill yourself like doing research because otherwise you'll never write it. You'll just spend your whole time and you'll have all these cool, interesting facts you want to shove in there, you want to talk about, but like you can't because they don't serve the plot. And it's just like, here's a cool thing for the sake of it. It's like, sweet, put that in your back pocket, come back to it another time. We don't have time for it. On this page, we got like 6 panels, it's like being a comic editor is not like editor, being a person like who writes and edits, I guess, their own stuff. You got to be, I mean, I do have a separate editor, but like you got to be tight is what I'm saying. You have to be like very judicious about the stuff that you use. So a lot of it is, there's a lot on like the cutting room floor in terms of like cool stuff that I found, and maybe it'll come back another time, maybe it won't, but if nothing else, like everything's got to be streamlined to like tell a character driven story.
Yeah, I like that approach, and for aspiring writers who are listening to this on any of the audio streaming platforms, where you do enough research to get to be able to showcase that era, but then you add your flair to it to make sure that it's relevant to this era, right? So I love that approach because you got to know when to pivot and what to use and what not, and when to add your own flair to it, where you're not just a copycat of something, but you're actually paying respect it's like an homage to something, but with your this new age twist to it. I like that approach. What brought you to that understanding for yourself?
For it's I always wanted to tell sort of like a fictional story. I didn't want to just tell a like a historical like an account of someone's life or something like that. And actually, I got the idea from Wardians. I think the first idea came, I don't know, like 6 years ago or something, when I was reading was it Gotham by Gaslight? And I was reading and I was thinking, like, wouldn't this be cool if there was a like a Ragman version? For some reason, I latched on to Ragman. I don't know why. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a Ragman 1880s? Like, what would that look like? And that kind of became the villain. I was like, this sort of villain. There's a bunch of sort of possessed clothes, a bunch of souls of people who've died in a fire get combined into this thing, and they're out for revenge. And it's this sort of like, it's kind of a Venom sort of like, you know, multiple entities inside it sort of thing. And I just latched on to like the villain really early, and then it just sort of like slowly kind of came from there. So I don't know, like, it's weird trying to talk about like why you want to do stuff or like how it came to be. Like, it's just like one day I woke up and I was like, oh, there's a story here. Like, you know, I look up X on my notes. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like, I'm clearly like moving towards this. Like,
right. So we have a question for you.
Yeah.
From Hugo. It says, how do you learn to draw that line between research for your project and just going down a rabbit hole?
It's really, really, really hard. For me, I was like anytime. So Warden's got a lot of things like, it's got a lot of stuff about like Prohibition era gangs and like rum running and stuff like that. And I went down like a giant rabbit hole for that. And then I sort of, you kind of realize after you do it for a while, like you're reading stuff and once you start sort of reading kind of the same information or similar information, nothing that's like sort of too new and too mind blowing, then you're kind of like, okay, I kind of got enough, like, you know, but it's hard. I mean, you have to just like, have a feel for it, have an understanding of like, and also there's a bunch of stuff too that's like sometimes you need to know more but you don't know more, so you just have to ask the right people, like, and you know, you kind of need to know a little bit of what you don't know, but you never know everything that you don't know. So like, you know, your research is never like really done in a way, but if you show it to people and they'll be like, that's cool, but that's not how this is, like, you know, that guy wouldn't do that. That's not the right name for this character. Like, you figured this out, but you didn't quite get it right. Like, if you pass it around, you ask the right people, people will tell you that, they'll give you feedback, you know? And so that's, I mean, interpersonal feedback, of course, is like the best, you know, if someone can tell you something rather than like trying to search for it online forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also like the array of characters that you have in this book, Ari. One that stood out to me was the Shmata, right? Can you tell me a little bit, or can you tell us a little bit about what the Shmata is, and why the name? How did you come up with that character? Who is he in the story? All of that kind of stuff.
So the Shmata is the collection of clothes I'm talking about. It's a bunch of clothes that are, if you read the book, the one scene that you just showed, there's a fire in the factory, and earlier on there's this guy, Yakov, a tailor. He's worked there for years, and he's trying to sort of save the factory by, as you can see there, he's laying down these clothes that he's sewn, and he's been trying to make these new line of clothes with sewn blessings into them, these brachos, these Jewish blessings that protect the wearer from all kinds of things, and he's trying really hard to like get the people in the factory, to get his bosses to pay attention, but they're just like, dude, this is like, there's no way we can afford to do this, we're losing money as it is, forget it. So they don't listen to him. He spends all his time like mastering these clothes and making them exactly just so, and then everything goes to hell. And so he lays them all down. He's like, this is going to be the way that I'm going to protect myself and everyone else. These clothes are going to save me. They're going to save everybody. And he goes down, and the Shmata comes up, and the Shmata ends up being a combination of him and like 5 other people's souls. And so it's these various people out for revenge. So one thing I like about the Shmata is their main goal is to like find out like who started the fire and just like take out whoever is responsible for that. They're these diverse souls, but they're bound by like anger and rage, and like the only thing they really have in common is just like this desire for vengeance. And everyone else inside there has their own thing. So in issue 2, there's someone who's been aggrieved by the Shmata, and you don't really know that, or aggrieved by, sorry, there's someone who is part of the Shmata who's been like, aggrieved by somebody else, and you don't know that until like the schmata shows up and he's like it's time for me to settle our shit between you and me, and like doesn't end very well for the other person. So there's a lot of like that. By having multiple sort of characters in this one character, you can then get it's like it solves a bunch of like little plot things, like, why does the schmata show up? Because the schmata hates this guy. Well, why is the schmata hate that guy? Because this person did, and whatever. Like you could start like connecting the dots really easily. But I love the idea. Like I want Wardens to be about clothes as well, like not like fashion necessarily, but like the garment industry, since that's a huge part of Jewish history, especially in like Canada and the US. Like as you probably know, like I'm talking about Lower East Side, like that's like we call it the schmata business. Schmata means rag in Yiddish. It was just where people worked. A lot of people worked. Usually people who came over were pretty poor. A lot of them were tailors. This is a transportable skill. It's something that you don't need to like, you don't need to own land to be a tailor. It's you just need to like go to someone's house and, do your work with whatever they give you, or you can do it at home even, which was often what a lot of people did. And so it's a big part of like Jewish history, and it's a big part of my family history too. Like on my father's side, my great-grandfather opened up a factory in Montreal, a clothing factory, and my grandfather was a dressmaker for a while as well before they went into other businesses and stuff. So it's kind of part of like it's like a deep-seated part of like my history, and also like the history of Toronto, because at this area in the ward, a lot of people there worked as seamstresses or tailors for the big companies there. So like it's just taking these little like bits of history and finding this like cool way to like weave them all together and tell the story,
It sounds like this story has been in your mind for a long time. How long did it take you to kind of like go from inception to like where we are right now? How long did that process take for you?
So I was seriously thinking about it for a few years. It's like slowly started building. I'm probably around, I don't know, 2017, 2018 or something. In 2020, in May, I told myself I'm out of excuses for like writing anything. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. I just sort of had this realization. I sat down, I started writing, and I wrote like the whole thing, like 264 pages of like comic pages of this thing. Like not like great comic pages, but like, 260, like I did it. Right. Soup to nuts, start to beginning, origin to like conclusion of the story, a whole deal, right? And then I went around, talked to lots of people. I was like, hey, how do I get this turned into a comic? And they're like, you have a 264-page comic. Have you done a comic before? And I'm like, no. And they're like, so you want to make, wait, let me get this right. They're like, dude, just like do something small, So I did short stories in Tales from the Cloakroom. I got short stories in Fairy Tale from Mars, Magic and Monster In-Laws, these other little like different genres I've been playing around with. And then I did my first Kickstarter campaign last year, which was Awakening, which I want to do that to learn how to do a Kickstarter campaign. And that's a one shot. I was like, I'm just going to do one issue, one thing, understand how it's done. Like, I'm not going to, I'll make my mistakes on this one and not on Wardens, Fortunately, I didn't make like too many mistakes, but like all the little learning things you got to do, like you send something to the printer does it. And you're like, that's not what I asked for. And he's like, well, that's exactly what you told me to do. And I was like, you're right. I suck. Like, so like all those kind of things, it's like burn the first pancake a little bit, right? But it turned out pretty good. The first pancake was all right. Everyone ate it. Everyone liked it. I think. So that's what I did. And then I knew it was going to take a while to make, because each issue is 44 pages. And once I found the guy I'm working with, and he was like, I'll do everything. And I've seen his other stuff where he's done everything. And I was like, wow, that's really good. I can't believe I found one guy who'll do it all. Like that's like, and I like him. Like, that's crazy. Right. I was like, but you also have to understand, if you're working with one guy who's doing it all, like this is not going to have a fast turnaround. I'm also not the only person in the world he's like doing stuff for. He's got like a few other things. He's Craig stuff on a Kickstarter, or on Instagram. I mean, like, so I knew it's going to be long. My goal is to do like one of these comics a year. And then I've got another series I'm working on. It's more of a family drama, a horror called Upkeep. It's a house horror thing. And I'm going to try to do sort of like Wardens and then Upkeep, and like try to get both of those going once a year. And then sometime, I don't know, 2 other graphic novels or something stupid like that.
Another 300 page, man.
Exactly,
big, huge book. For those who just started watching or maybe just joined us, we're talking to Ari Groves, and he's got a Kickstarter launching tomorrow for his book, a 44-page comic book called Wardens. a new supernatural action comic series. This sounds awesome, dude. Like the concept sounds good. I always like stories grounded in like realism. You know, it's like fiction, but it's grounded on something that's real. And the fact that you're using, you know, your background and are any of these characters people that you've known in your life, or are these just things that came from your head? Like, are they grounded in any kind of reality, these characters?
A lot of them are like, some of them are like inspired by like either stories of people in my family, or some people sort of like Rachel, the main person. She looks like all the women on like my mother's side of the family, kind of just like short, stout, like looks like she'll like you know Mrs. Maisel. You ever seen that show? Yeah, she's like Susie.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that kind of character, and she was like a major influence. So there are some people I drawn. Some of the details are taken from others, like Sunny Wu, the main Chinese character in the story. He's inspired by The Magical Life of Long Tack Sam, which is graphic. I guess it's a graphic novel. It's a illustrated biography that somebody did of their, I think, great grandfather, who was a Chinese acrobat and performer, and who did all this like touring Chinese magic in the early 20th century, and was a big deal. And so I just like lifted a bunch of that stuff wholesale. I was like, that's really cool. I'm gonna take it. You know, it's like. But yeah, like a lot of people are named after people in my family or have similar names, like the tailor Yakov Heifetz. Like I'm part Heifetz. If you ask, I don't know, like I think my great grandmother's maiden name and stuff like that. So a lot of people are picked, like Harry, the guy who owns the factory. That was my great grandfather who owned his own factory, like, you know, for a while at least, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
a
awesome.
little inspiration here and there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Sam, you had something else. I thought you were.
No, it was awesome. It's funny. I worked for Castellnitz factory, and Jewish owned, and I was the shipping and receiving supervisor back when I was a youngin. And it was fascinating to see the knitting of the product. You know, taking something from a material and then making it into a sweater or whatever it was. They did LL Bean. They supplied for a lot of, you know, they were just the manufacturer for a lot of places. So it was pretty awesome. I love the fact that you went with this approach, and that's what's great about the independent realm, right? It's not a traditional superhero comic book. It's not a traditional, and the story and the premise is so fascinating. It just hearing you speak about it is so much heart to it. You know, what's your ultimate goal for this project?
My ultimate goal is this issue. People read it, they like it, whatever. Issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, issue 5, issue 6. I've got the 264 page arc got broken up into 6 issues. That tells a story of how the team comes together. It's the Shmata's one of the main villains for it, but it's the arc of the Shmata, and there's some other villains that come into later, which I'm like super excited about, but I'm not going to say anything about until like it comes. I've been biting my tongue on these guys. It's so hard, but I love them. So it's like telling the story, the origin story, basically of the team. And then once you have that, you know, you have the teams come together. They're basically like the sort of the Ghostbusters, or like the secret protectors of the supernatural shit that happens in the board. And the main people on the team are going to be the 2 sisters, Rachel, Goldie, Sunny, Nick. And so we're going to deal with different stuff that arises in the Chinese community, the Black community, the Jewish community. There's a whole Italian side of things. There's a big like criminal gang thing happening, which like this doesn't even begin to do, but that's becomes a major part of the plot later. And so my goal is to sort of tell these stories that interweave like the historical fiction and social issues, if they're labor stuff, if it's crime stuff, if it's just like, you know, racism, sexism, like whatever issues people are facing, and then all the supernatural stuff on top of it. So it sort of keeps it like a different take. It's fresh, and try to weave it together in a way that feels very organic, like you're sort of telling one consistent story and not, you know, trying to just sort of shoehorn things in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, my goal for this is just to be like, I've got that first arc like in my head. Maybe it'll take 6 years to do it at this rate, but whatever. Things take. I'm patient. As long as I'm still breathing, I'm still going to be writing and making comics. And then after that, I've got like so many issues, so many ideas where to go after that. I mean, I'm not even like, I'm trying not to think about it, because every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like write it in the computer on my long list of like later ideas, you know.
Right.
But I've got a pretty good sense of, I think, where I want to take everything. But yeah, I'm focused on the first the first 6 years, which seems like, unless my artist suddenly, like, I don't know, becomes an AI, transforms himself into like a machine that can just crank it out. But I don't think and that's one thing too. It's interesting working with him and hearing a lot of people talk about AI in comics and generative images. They can't do what he's doing. It's just like there's like, I mean, an AI could make a thing, but it's not going to be what he does, and it's not going to be customized. It's not going to be the kind of thing you can go back and say, do it slightly differently. It's going to be exactly what I want. You realize that working with people like this guy's bringing something that's special because it's his very specific style. It's his sensibility. And that's not something that you can train very easily on, you know?
Yeah, no, agreed, man. Agreed. Now, this has been great. All right, you really, you're gonna kill it, man. This thing launches. What time are you launching tomorrow?
Let's say like 12 or 1 in the morning. I didn't give a time to launch, but if I'm up and at like midnight, which I will be, because I'll still be like emailing people and be like, hey, here's the thing that's happening. I'm just gonna click go and tell people. So as of midnight, you can
start pledging.
You can click, buddy.
That's right.
There you go. So, all right. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you there's a screen. I want you to give you an elevator pitch why everyone should pick up this book and back it when you launch it. So here you go.
Hey everyone, I'm talking about Warren's number 1. It's a totally different story than any other kind you read. It takes place in 1920s Toronto, Jewish, Chinese, Black neighborhood, multicultural, supernatural, crime, action, lots of fun. Totally different than probably what you're expecting out of a comic book, but it's something I hope you enjoy. And the art is dope. That's all I gotta say.
Awesome.
There's that word dope. I'm telling you, it came back.
Right.
It came
dope,
back.
Fat, thick, rad.
Oh, you were ready.
I was sitting on that one.
He had them ready.
I used to have this T-shirt that said "Life's too big." Life's too good to be thin? Live fat.
That's right.
Oh, you should have worn that. That would be great. Ari, this has been fun, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you, and good luck with the project.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
You got it, man. Later.
All right, guys. Yeah, I love the premise too. Yes, within the historical context. Absolutely. I love that. It's a whole new twist to it. That's what's fascinating. That's what intrigues me about the whole indie game. It's like there's so much out there. There's so many stories. There's so many perspectives in the game, and there's so much to choose from, you know, and then, you know, if we don't provide platforms like this to showcase these stories and these artists, you know, how else are they going to get the word out, you know? And so, you know, again, if you haven't checked it out, the links in the chat. It's also in the summary. Check it out.
I also think Ari's enthusiasm is contagious, right?
Yes.
Like he's excited about it, so we're excited about it, and kudos to him for coming in hot, and just, you know, he wanted to say something about the topic we were talking about. We went into his story, so. Excellent job, Ari. Good luck with the project. Warden's number 1. It launches tomorrow or at midnight on
44-page book.
Instagram. 44 pages, full color.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out.
Yeah, man. It's a fantastic show. Great topics. You know, and a lot of great questions in the chat too, which is pretty dope.
Man. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Dan, Hugo. I know JD was in here for a little bit. Aurelis, obviously Lupin. Lupin's, you know, Rick was in the house. What up, Rick? Thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, no, we had a nice lively discussion. I like that.
Yeah. And next week we got the goons, bro. Next week we got the Goombas.
Cool.
We got La Familia. We got the dynamic duo Mark Saporito and Daniel Rusomano, and they're back on the show. These guys are fantastic. You talk about energy. These guys are they coming with Arroyos Capoyos?
No, I think they're coming solo. It's just the two of them.
Solo. Wow. It's gonna be fun. So if you haven't seen these guys, they're a friend of ours, right? Yeah. So these guys again, what's the name of the book?
That's a good question. We're gonna find out next week. We're going to find out next week.
Oh yes, it's the name of the book is New Dawning.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, the name I go under Mark Sapo Instagram. Yeah, Dark Form Cometh. It's New Dawning. So that's what they're going to be talking about next week, which is going to be a fantastic show. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
The last one was amazing. I
Yeah,
wonder if we're going to have Paschettis.
Yeah, I know. Nah, they're good guys, man. Mark and Danny, we're gonna have a good time. Make sure you tune in to that next week. We're gonna be talking to them about their new book. They're excited about it. So it's gonna, New Dawning. That's what it's called. Yep. So so that's gonna be a good time. So make sure you check it out.
Yeah, those guys are a lively bunch. Loving it. And again, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend. Let everybody know where you got it from. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Pandora or Apple Podcasts, head over to the YouTube channel, subscribe as well, right? Leave a comment, give us a rating on a lot of these platforms. I think on Podbean, we have 6,000 downloads already,
Nice.
Which is pretty dope. Yes, thank you. And
you go. Thanks, brother.
And don't forget to check out The Art of Samuel. The Art of Samuel is my art channel. A lot of behind the scenes, how I prep for a convention, packing for a convention, how I build up my presentations, learnings, conventions where I made money, conventions where I didn't make any money, all these things and things to consider, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And also check out, just did a live stream with Lou Pons, which is fantastic. You want to check out her work, check out that live stream. We're going to do a part 2 coming up soon. We're working that out. And then if you're in Texas, I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to be everywhere. So if you didn't get your duty on, you meet me at any one of these fantastic conventions. I'll be everywhere in Texas this year. Every month I have something going on, which is dope. Looking forward to that. And you, George?
Yeah, man. I'll be out there with you in Texoma doing my thing out there. I'm also going to be hitting up Chicago this year. I'm going to be in Massachusetts for a couple of conventions, hitting up Baltimore. So I'm going to be making my rounds, but make sure you also go to Get Your Meds on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of the stuff that I have on there. I have a show called The Art of Comic Writing where I speak to comic book writers, not just comic book writers, but writers in general. And we have a nice discussion about the art of writing. So check that out. And don't forget that I'm releasing the old footage. What happened?
25th anniversary.
Yeah, 25th anniversary of Russ, my character, Russ 5377. 25 años.
We're still remains my favorite. So just
So I'm gonna be releasing that book. Look for it at the shows that I'm gonna be going to. And also, if you subscribe to the channel, hit me up. Let me know you subscribed, and I'll send you a PDF of the book. So that's what I got going on, dog.
The book. Yeah, absolutely. So another fantastic show. Thank you, everybody in the chat. You guys were a fantastic audience. We'll see you all next week. Thank you again to Ari. Much success to you on your Kickstarter. And so with that said, good night, Aurelius. I'm Sam, Crazy Man Vera.
George, the Dreamer Medina.
And we are. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking?
He described me. He said, I'm the
what? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. This is Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.